Welcome to Civilian Jeeps. I'm Jake, and today I've got more of a laid-back video for you guys. I want to discuss what's wrong with my LJ, my DJ over here, and then the CJ7 in the upper garage. Now some of these things are major, some of these things are minor, no problem whatsoever, but I do have a huge life change that I want to tell you guys about that sort of affects this channel and how I'll be able to put out content. So let's go ahead and dive right into it, and I'm going to show you exactly what's wrong and discuss this major life change. Well, we'll go ahead and leave the life change for the end of the video. Let's go ahead and show you guys what's wrong with my Jeeps. Now, as you guys might know, this is my LJR, LJ Rubicon Impact Orange. This has got the 4.0 in it. It was the NSG 370 transmission, MP 241. I love this Jeep. 70,000 original miles on it. Now, my goal with this Jeep is to be more of like the overland style theme. Now, I have an overland trailer over here that I've put in some of my videos, and that was what I was working on up until I finished the whole solar setup, but I've got that pretty squared away for the time being. I got a few minor things like, put shocks on it, maybe reinforce a few things here and there, but my LJ is going to be the main tow vehicle for that trailer back there. Now, what the LJ has is 37s currently, 37 1250s, and it's got the pretty much stock. It's 513 gears, but factory Rubicon lockers in the Dana 44s. It's got the special Dynatrack diff cover front and rear. Nothing too crazy, but however, there's a huge thing that happened to me. So I got back from the Southeast Overland camping event with my trailer, and everything was fine. I drove 6 hours and everything was perfect. No, I got back home, got everything put away, went and took the LJ down the road, and sure enough, the rear differential completely blew up. I'm talking major chunks in the rear end. Well, it wasn't the ring and pinion. I don't believe it's a ring and pinion. I did take the cover off and I looked around in it, and I didn't pull the shafts and take the carrier or anything like that out, but I did look around, and it looks to be that the rear factory Rubicon locker has left the chat. Now, in these Rubicon lockers from the factory, they have spider gears inside of them, and I believe from the metal shavings I was pulling out, it is a bunch of spider gears. Hopefully I didn't mess the shafts up, but what am I going to do to remedy that? Well, what I'm going to do is I've already ordered Revolution shafts for the rear. These are Alloy USAs that are in it at the moment, and they're on the older side. Just by the looks of them, I believe they're probably 6 to 10 years old. Now, they do weaken down over time, even though they're chromoles, so I went ahead just on the safe side and ordered some Revolution shafts, and I'm going to keep those Alloy USA ones as spares. Now, with the Revolution shafts, I've also ordered an Eaton E-locker for the rear. So, with the rear 44 in this thing, and especially the front 44 in this, they're really not up to 37s. The biggest you probably want to put on this is a 35, but I love the look of 37s, and I love beadlocks, but beadlocks are heavy. Like, I'm talking extremely heavy. I don't know the weight of them, but there's a huge difference between 35s and 37s in the Jeep world, especially when you have beadlocks on it. Now, what I plan to do is I've already ordered the Revolution shafts. I've ordered Eaton E-lockers for front and rear. I'm going to go ahead and build the front axle as well. I'm going to build it with a truss, and I'm going to do gussets. I'm not going to do a sleeve. I don't really see a huge benefit in a sleeve, and especially if it gets stuck in the tube, it can be a nightmare. So I'm not going to sleeve the front. The rear, if you don't know, is already triangulated. It's got the triangulated, I don't know if you would call it, it's a Johnny joint on top of a truss, if you can see it back there. So I wouldn't call that a triangulated 4-link. I would call it really a 3-link, but it goes to a triangle pattern. But the outers right here are not triangulated, so it's not a double triangulated. It's a single triangulated 3-link. Kind of an odd system. It's a Fabtech system. So let me reiterate. I'm going to do a Eaton E-locker rear. It's already got a rear truss. it has Alloy USA shafts. It's gonna have Revolution shafts. The front is gonna have a JCR truss, JCR gussets. I'm not gonna do a sleeve. I ordered 300 millimeter RCV shafts. Now, these are, I don't know the brand of them, but I do have chromoly shafts already in the front. But the U-joint is the big issue with these Dana 44 front shafts. So the RCVs will eliminate the U-joint problems with binding up on a hard turn. Now with this LJR, I am going to drop down a tire size. I'm going to go ahead and put 35s on it. 35 1250s instead of 37 1250s. I want to do the 15-inch wheel. These are 17s. I think 17s look good with 37s. I don't think 17s look good with 35s. Honestly, on a TJ LJ platform, I fully believe that they should have 15s. Like, it just looks right. It's got that old school Jeep feel whenever you put 15s on a LJ TJ. So I'm going to do the Raceline Monster. I think they're 15 by 8s and they're the 5 by 4.5 lug pattern. And I'm going to take these 37s and these are 5 by 5.5 on the Postal Jeep. I'm going to put 37s with these 37s with the beadlocks and do an adapter. These are 5 by 5.5 to 5 by 4.5, same as TJ/LJ lug pattern, so I can switch back and forth. Now, if I want to run the 35, race lines on the Postal Jeep, I can. Most likely I wouldn't, but I can swap them interchangeably back and forth because I feel like for these Dana 44s to hold up, I really need to go back down to 35s. Now, one of the major benefits for me going back down to 35s will be I will get matching race lines for the trailer. Now, my trailer is on 35 1250 by 15s as well, so that would be no problem. I can keep those tires and I can have matching race lines on the trailer, so everything would match. And one huge benefit by that is I have that solar set up on my trailer up there, so I took the spare tire that used to sit right there. It's completely off. Now, right now it's a 37 that is my spare for the Jeep, and a 37 would be hard pressed to fit if I needed a spare for that trailer. So if I go back down to 35s, it would work out perfect that I can put the 35 on that trailer if it ever need be when I'm towing it behind the LJ. So 35s on, a pretty built 44 rear with towing this trailer should be ideal. I also plan on, instead of using the Interstate deep cycle batteries that are in here, they're heavy. I think it's like 96 pounds worth of weight. I can drop that in half by putting some lithium batteries. So I'm gonna be saving 50 pounds of tongue weight by putting lithium batteries in here. And I also wanna take this 20-pound propane that's kind of overkill. I'm gonna drop it down to an 11-pound propane tank. So that should save me about 15 pounds as well. Now, the Postal Jeep, that's the one I've been working on lately. And let me just go ahead and show you what all I've been doing to it. Now, the Postal Jeep, if some of you remember from where I might have stated in the past, it had axle wrap because it didn't have the traction bar. The realtor that had this Jeep before me messed the traction bar up on it. So I re-welded, as you can see, the traction bar, and it has been completely fixed. The axle wrap, that is. No more axle wrap for this Jeep. Now, I'm trying to get a good shot of this so you can really see the bar. Now, the only thing I really need to do to this Jeep is paint that. I don't want to leave it raw. It'll start to rust. So I'm going to be painting that bar and the bracket that's on the Curry 60 there. So that's really all I have to do per se. But I was doing some work running fuel lines. Oh, that's another huge one. This Jeep used to whine like crazy. I'll go ahead and put a video in so you guys can hear the whine. All right, so we'll let the fuel pump prime. The Jeep is in neutral. Well, one day I decided, I'm just ripping the whole fuel system out and I'm going through each little piece until I found that whine. Well, I found the whine, and guys, listen to this. No more whine from the fuel pump. Now, you hear that little hum? That is nothing like it used to be. That is no problem whatsoever. That hum is almost welcoming, so I know that the fuel pump is actually working. But that is not bad at all. You can hear just how good this Jeep sounds. There's a little exhaust rattle. This exhaust, either that one or that one, is a little loose and it hits a little metal piece down there. That's no big deal at all. That's what you might have heard when I first started it up. But I don't want to give myself carbon monoxide poisoning. That's why I had the garage door open earlier. So we'll go ahead and turn that off before we really do something dangerous here. So I have fixed the axle wrap and I have fixed the fuel problem of just that annoying whine from the fuel pump. So honestly, the Postal Jeep is my most complete, just fun to drive Jeep right now. But I will say one thing huge with this Postal Jeep. Now, keep in mind, it's got a 5.3 LS in it, SM465 with the granny low, MP231 with the heavy duty chain, Curry 60 rear. It's got the Ford high pinion, I think it's like a 70 series F100. It's got the high pinion 44 front, running 37 1250s. This thing is a monster. Now, I can't take credit for this. I didn't build this. This is Chad Edmondson Off-Road. But this thing, full cage. I'm gonna be putting communications in it here pretty soon. I would like to get like a sound bar to put up there to have some type of radio. But this thing right here is gonna be an absolute monster. But I will say, I have it up for sale. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I have it up for sale to possibly trade for a four-door. That's the thing I'm gonna be mentioning a little later about my life change. And this thing is awesome. I've always dreamed of owning this Jeep, finally have it, and then the life change happened. Well, I can keep this Jeep if I really wanted to, but I think a four-door might serve me more in the future and times to come. So, but if I don't sell this Jeep, I don't care. I'm gonna keep it. Like, I've lined this thing out to where I can drive it. I mean, it's an absolute blast. It will haul the mail. Like, it is so quick. Now that I got the axle bar welded on, or the traction bar where it don't have axle wrap in the rear, this thing flexes like crazy because the springs are super soft. That's why I had axle wrap without the bar. But it also really locks up because now that bar keeps it from twisting like this whenever you really give it throttle. And this 5.3, I mean, you can give this thing throttle and it responds so well. Now, when I was running the fuel lines the other day, I went ahead and left this skid plate off down here because I wanted to show you guys this setup that we have in greater detail. And this skid plate is awesome because it really reminds me of like a YJ-TJ skid plate. And it sets up there, and it's not the support. Here's the support for the transmission and transfer case cross member, but this skid plate sets up here to protect the underbody of the Jeep. As you can see right here, this is like a mud or something. It comes off really easy with just a wire wheel and a drill. As you can see, there's no rust on this Jeep. That just needs to be cleaned up, maybe throw a little bit of paint on it. But that's the 5.3 LS, the the oil pan right there. That's the SM465, the MP231. There's your smallish drive shaft going down to your Curry 60. And this is a view of that bar, if you can see it in this view right here that I just welded on. Got to get that baby painted. But honestly, the Postal Jeep's got the least issues, knock on wood. It really don't have any issues now. I fixed everything, but it is a blast to drive. Now, if you're interested in this thing, I've got it on Facebook Marketplace, and look up my name, Jacob Owen, on Facebook, or go to like the Greenville, Tennessee Marketplace, and you'll probably see it. I've got it listed there. I'm not in a rush to sell it, so I mean, I've had some offers, but nobody, serious about my price, so I've not sent it on its way yet, and I really don't care if I do. I mean, I'll go ahead and pop the hood for you guys, for those that haven't seen it. This thing is a blast. I've replaced a fuel line. I've cleaned the fuel filter. That was the issue with the entire fuel system, was a little fuel filter that was clogged, and it's causing the pump to cavitate. So I fixed that issue, got the axle wrap bar on it. I've done the master cylinder, slave cylinder. The clutch just felt a little weak to me. Now the clutch feels great. But that's pretty much all I have for the LJ and the DJ. Let's go up to the upper garage, the one that you don't see too often. Let's check in on the CJ. Well, I'm in my upper garage, nothing too fancy up here. This is pretty much just where I store the CJ, and my dogs stay here. This is like their room whenever they're not outside. So the CJ has to coexist with my two Labradoodles. Now, because of that, the CJ, if you can see, is a little dirty. I just rinse it off maybe like once a month. It's not a big deal to me anymore. But the CJ it's fine. Like, it's still drivable the way it is. Now, I clean up the oil stains, but my front diff cover is leaking. I'll have to fix that. There's Bailey girl. The front diff cover is leaking a little bit. No big deal. I can fix that pretty easy. Now, as you can see, probably those little stains, my SM465 is top loaded and it is leaking a decent amount. Now, it has leaked ever since I've had the thing, I don't know, 8-9 years now, but it seems to progressively be getting worse. So I need to go ahead and fix that leak in the near future. And another leak I have back here on the axle side of things, if you can see up in there, my pinion seal is leaking. So I'm going to take the drive shaft off, take the yoke off, replace that seal, hopefully get it perfect to where it's not leaking again. If you don't get it perfect, the seal will be a little cockeyed and it'll still leak. But if you want to know more about this Jeep, I do have a video of it on my channel. This is the Chevy 350 SM465 MP205 GM 8.5 10 bolts, comparable to like a 44. Speed hook gauges. This is honestly, between it and the LJ, it's probably my favorite Jeeps. The LJ just because it's what I've wanted for forever, but this one's got the most sentimental value to me. I really love my CJ. Well, I'm back inside the house because this is where the major life update lives and resides, right here. This is Olivia Jane Owen. Say hi to the camera. Oh, she's waving. And we're nicknaming her Livy Jane because LJ, that's my wife. LJ, Livy Jane, you might not have no idea why, you know, LJ for my Jeep down there, but, you know, I just like LJ. It doesn't necessarily mean my Jeep. But that is the major life update and why I might be getting a 4-door. So it would be a lot more beneficial for the family. Even though the postal Jeep, if it doesn't sell, I'm completely cool with keeping it. Well, that's all I have for you guys. That is the major life update and a couple updates on the Jeeps. Now, LJ, really broken, but it's gonna be back better than ever on 35s one day. I also plan on doing Redneck Ram hydraulic steering to it, and I would like to get that done. Well, it'll be Redneck Ram assist. I'm not doing the full-blown hydro. It just don't need it with 35s. And I'll probably drop it down to maybe 6 inches instead of 8. But I keep rambling on about this. But if you guys would like to see me do more mechanic stuff on the channel, let me know. I mean, I'm not huge on videoing it just because it takes so long. I do a lot of the mechanic stuff myself, but occasionally if it's something especially differential related, I don't do differentials and gearing and backlash and all that. I send it somewhere. So I don't do differentials, but a lot of the mechanic stuff, if it's not differential related, I'll do it myself. So if that's something you'd like to see on this channel, let me know. But as of right now, I plan on just keeping it more of like shows, interviews, off-road, camping. I love to go camping, especially in my trailer over there. But I'm going to go ahead and end this video out here. And thank you guys for watching. Just want to give you a little life update. And when it comes to Jeeps, keep it classic.